On the surface, today's gospel reading might seem difficult to interpret, since we tend to rely on our 21st century understanding of people in order to decipher the world around us. That being said, it would appear that Jesus is talking about investing. In modern-day thinking, we could view one of the people as having invested in small-cap stocks and subsequently made a fortune. We might view the second as more conservative, investing in a diversified mixture of blue-chip stocks and bonds, while the third put his money in a CD at today's dismal rates of return. But Jesus is not talking about how we use our money. He is talking about how we use the incredible gifts he has given each one of us. Still, using a more modern-day analysis of the parable, perhaps we could imagine the first person in question as being specialist fifth class Clarence Sasser. In 1968, Sasser was drafted into the United States Army and gave up his college deferment. Shortly after basic training, Sasser found himself serving as a medical aid man in Dinh Thuong province in the Republic of Vietnam. On one occasion, his company was making an air assault and it encountered heavy machine gun and rocket resistance. The website American Valor recounts the incident. During the first few minutes, over 30 casualties were sustained. Without hesitation, Specialist Fifth Class Sasser ran across an open paddy through a hail of fire to assist the wounded. After helping one man to safety, he was painfully wounded in the left shoulder by fragments of an exploding rocket. Refusing medical attention, he ran through a barrage of rocket and automatic weapons fire to aid casualties of the initial attack. And after giving them urgently needed attention, continued to look for other wounded. Despite 2 additional wounds immobilizing his legs, he dragged himself through the mud to another soldier 100 meters away. Although in agonizing pain, Specialist Fifth Class Sasser reached the man, treated him, and encouraged another group of soldiers to crawl 200 meters to safety, where he treated their wounds for 5 hours. In March of 1969, President Richard Nixon awarded Clarence Sasser the Congressional Medal of Honor for his bravery and willingness to go above and beyond the call of duty, or indeed for his willingness to use the gifts of caring for others that God had given him. In considering the second person in today's gospel, we could reflect on Narayan Krishna, an award-winning chef slated for a prestigious job with a 5-star hotel in Sweden. Before taking up his new position, Krishna decided to make a quick visit to his family in India. While there, he was moved to pity when he saw a very old, mentally ill man living under a bridge, attempting to eat his own waste because he was so hungry. Krishna was haunted by the image, so much so that he quit his new job before even starting, and instead remained in India to embark on his new destiny. Narayan Krishna founded a non-profit trust in which he has been able to raise enough money to feed over 1.2 million of India's homeless and destitute, mostly elderly people, abandoned by their families and often abused. Narayan Krishna, an ordinary man using his extraordinary gifts given to him by God. And in our modern-day interpretation of Jesus' parable, that brings us to the third person. How will that third person use his or her talents or gifts given by our Lord? Well, the jury is still out on this one. It's still out because our modern analogy could suggest that this third person is represented by each one of us. In these coming weeks and months, it's most unlikely that any of us here will be awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. It's also unlikely that any of us will start an organization that will feed over 1 million people. But that shouldn't stop us from sharing the gifts that God has given us with others. The famous motivational speaker and writer Anthony Robbins once wrote a book entitled Awaken the Giant Within. Robbins' premise was that each one of us has these amazing God-given gifts and talents that for the most part we keep bottled up within us. Consider what your God-given talents are, perhaps concealed just under the surface. There is no starting age or finishing age for distributing these gifts. Here at the parish, we have many avenues in various ministries which act as conduits for us to distribute our gifts. Gifts that are waiting to be shared with the whole world, a family member, or perhaps just the person living next door. What has God given you to give to others?